Well, good morning, sports fans. Welcome to Friday Shit Show.
Well, hello, friends. That's my friend Darby. He's venting today, too, just like the rest of us. But I also want to remind you all of what I talked about this week, which was this here word that follows their faith. Okay? Because I don't think that people are paying attention to the fact that Mitch McConnell and his money are out to hell. Not yet, but out of here. And what playbook do you think Mitch McConnell's money paid for when they decided to run Dr. Oz in the state of Pennsylvania? You know, Pennsylvania, that never voted for Trump or his nominees. Why? Because this is where that Constitution was written. And the last time the South tried to rise, do we forget that? Because Arlington Cemetery stands as a visual reminder to Pete Hegseth and every other yes man in this administration. And it doesn't matter how much you try to rise. It doesn't matter how many bases you disrespect our service members by bringing back the Confederacy. There will always be that hatred in this country, because this is where that hatred was born. We fought an entire war on this. But yet, this administration's repeating what led up to the last global fight. You need to ask yourself, are these public servants in it for this country and your freedoms, or are they in it for their own bottom line bank account? Plain and simple. Because Lauren Boebert, who represents the state of Colorado, well, look at what she stands for. Having the church direct the government. I'm sorry, that violates the first sentence in that First Amendment. But when women started having their liberty violated because of the beliefs of alabaster men in our house, Mikey Johnson waving that Bible around, talking about unborn life. Well, if he read that damn Bible, he would know there's no such thing. No such thing. But it wasn't until 1984 that a woman could actually be, CEO of her own company in this here country? And now that politicians behind me, there's 8 of them, including J.D. Vance, who ran his mouth about Donald Trump in 2020. You all remember when Norfolk Southern tipped over in Ohio? J.D. Vance had an awful lot to say. But J.D. Vance is all for exactly what Doug Mastriano here in Pennsylvania was for when he ran against Josh Shapiro in the state of Pennsylvania, because he's a Christian who believes that separation of church and state is a myth. He's a judge who wants to be on Pennsylvania's SCOTUS so he can subjugate women back under their thumb. Because you can't have women out here getting educated and woke. They might actually run the damn country. So as long as they aren't, darker complexion. Seriously. and how any American is okay with any last GOP member enriching themselves while threatening an entire nation with a convicted criminal, a fraud, who handed Ronald Reagan's mistakes as a big, beautiful bill to make him king. And there will be no fighting it. You know, most empires never make it to 300 years. Do you want to know why? That's that male ego. That would be why. But when you take education away from the children, when you want to not teach about this country's dark history, you're going to repeat it. That's a fact. I come from actual heroes that took an oath and fought and died for that Constitution. They didn't take an oath to the people of this country. They took an oath to uphold, defend, and protect that Constitution. So a demigod like Donald Trump never, ever takes your rights or your freedoms away. But nobody said a word when they said, don't say gay. It's about the children. Save the children. As they were lying about what goes on at schools. As they made teachers the enemy. Instead of the very people who want to take knowledge away from your children. So if it doesn't work this time, they can repeat it in a couple generations. When they take education away from the children and dumb them down, it's not at all to be great. It's to repeat history, to make them richer. Not for the people, for that Constitution. No, it's not. Because if it was, then our children would be educated to the best of our ability. We would uphold the 1982 SCOTUS ruling that you can't ban books regardless of content, regardless of what the holier-than-thou believe. In this country, Oklahoma, you wanting to have every child learning from Donald Trump's Bible. Not just a regular Bible. No, has to be Donald Trump's. Did you know that Bible only has 10 amendments? I wonder why the elderly alabastards of Oklahoma want to shove that book onto the indigenous, onto the Jewish kids, onto atheist children. I will tell you what, the Satanic Temple has better tenets than these here Christians do. And that's a fact. Because if you are going to allow this country to fall towards people who are well worth over $50 million apiece now for running around this country going, let's go, Brandon. We're a Christian nation. That's why he loves his poorly educated, because they believed him. When they said, oh, it's about God's weapons and what now? Family? Whose family values? Whose? Because these people are divorced. This one right here, the top two, divorced. Worth over 50 mil. For kissing orange ass. Or else. Protesters are gonna meet with very fine force as he sends out active duty Marines after American citizens protesting taking away veterans' homes. Taking away the disabled homes. Their medication. Let's lock them all up. Start building them private prisons in other countries. Because we got turncoats in the White House. Facts.